We are officially recording now.
Awesome.
Okay, so, well, my background is Islam. I was born and raised in the religion of Islam. I joined a website to pretty much talk about Islam and clear up any misconceptions about Islam.
Of course.
How about yourself?
I'm Persian, so I came up in a family, that I would say they're more moderate, but yeah, they also believed in Islam.
Oh, okay. You have a Persian background.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm sort of familiar with it, except they really looked at it They looked at it moderately. So
okay.
Only my grandma actually, did the whole praying thing and all that. So I used to do it as a kid too because I thought it was fun.
Okay. What are your religious views? Are you atheist?
Actually, I don't know if I could give myself one spiritual belief. Best way to say it is spiritual / agnostic atheist.
Okay.
I'm intuitively spiritual. Who's not really? We all have that little bit of spiritual aspect to us.
Right.
But I like to look at it as an observational type of way. I look at all humans. Why are they so passionate about one belief? Why is it one person, even if you put all the evidence in front of them for another belief which believes in the same God or not believes in the same God or similar, they still don't want to, give in to that. They're just so stuck on what they're passionate about. And I personally think it comes down to the observer. So whoever the observer is, I kind of have a view that everybody's right in a way. Not that everything is right, but I think everybody's right in their view for a quote-unquote paradise, whatever you want to define paradise as. As in, if I want to go to a good paradise, I can't live evil, I can't go around stealing and doing dark things if I'm trying to live for a good paradise where I don't do those things. Right. So I kind of say everybody is a type of, we come from some type of source, which is an intelligent, and it's an unbound, intelligent, immortal being, or whatever it is, or whatever you want to call the source.
Okay,
and there's many different.
So you do believe in a higher power. You just don't identify a certain religion.
I believe in a higher power, but I believe that higher power is basically me, kind of.
Oh, okay.
I don't. It's a higher intelligence than me, so it's technically not me, but it is me. So I came here to have a human experience, and I believe everybody migrated here to have a human experience, if they like it or not. Some people would look at me and be like, I would never come here. And my thing would be, okay, well, if you're sitting in paradise for billions and billions of years, and you're looking down and you're like, hey, there's a mortal existence, 75 years average. What is that to an immortal? And so I
wanted to ask you, because I was trying to see if I can get the conversation to, I guess, a foundational starting point. Since my religion is Islam, maybe we could start there.
Right.
What is your concept or belief in regards to, I guess,
Islam?
In regards to, because the Abrahamic religions sort of are the same. They just sort of differ as far as, the prophets and things like that. So I guess I was going to ask you, what is your concept of God? Do you believe there's a God? And by God, do I mean you believe there's one being?
I believe there was. Yes, okay. I'm sorry to cut you off. Sometimes I do that. So
okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got like a fast-moving brain, I guess. But I do believe that there was an initial source, because you know how people ask, well, if there's a God, then who created a God? But I don't look at it that way. If it's an immortal intelligence and it's unbound, so it's not like bound to any kind of mortal body or any kind of the physics of a realm. It's outside of that, I guess. I'm not well versed with physics, but I might throw out some words. But I think it was an initial immortal intelligence that it just evolved to that point. So it somehow out of the darkness kind of came light. You know what I mean? You could use that analogy for it. So this source, I believe, evolved through billions of years. So you could kind of look at it as a cartoon analogy. First, you start with stick figures. You go to black and white cartoons. You go to color cartoons. You go to the craziness we have now. So it evolved, you know, as a spiritual being, as a source. It evolved by, you know, becoming more and more intelligent and self-aware and maybe creating worlds at this time. I'm not sure, because I kind of speculate that eventually that this source created another of like himself, or maybe another like him just came up, just like the way that source came up. In the face of people.
Well,
you know, that is my problem with religion.
Okay, well, that's a good starting point. So, so have you ever read something in the Quran? Because I was the same way too. I went on my little spiritual journey, and I really sat there and I said, I was born and raised in Islam, but I said, I want to know if this is true. Not because my parents told me and it was raised. I need some objective evidence to prove to me that this is from God, every word in it is true, and everything of this nature. So these are the questions I start to ask myself, and perhaps I'll start asking you, and see if we can come to some sort of understanding together. The question I first asked myself was, if a book has no error in it, it doesn't mean that it comes from God, because man can write a book with no error in it.
Right.
But it does show that whoever the author is, they have some type of reliability. It doesn't mean that the author is God, because I can write a book right now with no error in it, but it doesn't mean it comes from God. But it does mean that whoever wrote it, if the book has any truth, and it also doesn't have anything that says to hurt or harm people, then we can say whoever wrote it, it's likely that this person is reliable. It's likely that this person is trustworthy or a good person. Doesn't mean it's from God. Would you agree to that, or would you disagree?
I would just say it's a human with spiritual intelligence. I mean, you don't have to look at it as it's from God. I mean, I think there's prophets today. I mean, that's why I don't like the ultimatums. I mean, there's people that could speak I've heard people that's that they told me that, you know, this is my belief, and then I talked to, you know, Christian, and then it's like, boom, my belief was exactly what they told me. It's in the book. It's this. My thing is, it's already within you. If you have that intelligence, then share it with the world.
Right. In Islamic teachings, I learned it says that Islam, you're born into Islam. Like, it's naturally, Islam is something natural. It's not, the Quran is only revealed to remind you, because we grew up in a world where you can be persuaded to believe this and that. So the Quran is just simply a reminder to tell you this is who you are. It doesn't tell you who you should be. It says, like, in other words, if you was born in an island and you was by yourself, you would naturally grow up and want to be Muslim. In other words, you would naturally not want to lie, cheat, steal.
Well, that's interesting that you say that. I brought that up to my uncle because he's a neurologist, and he's like, that would be a pretty interesting experiment, but it would be pretty inhumane to do that to somebody.
Right, exactly. But that's
you know?
the Islamic position.
So how are we supposed to know how, you know?
Right. Like, we have these ideas of bad things. Like, a child is innocent. It doesn't know to do evil, crazy things, but it's raised in an environment, society, where it starts to believe that. Leave a
but
child
it's how
alone,
you define evil as well, though. It's also how you define evil.
That is true. But I guess what I'm going back to is there anything in the Quran that you read that you can say this is false? You may not say it's true, but you can say this is false, or I disagree with it.
That it's false? Because for me, so even if I read the line out of it, you know, that everybody says, oh my God, you know, it says, you know, if your wife cheats on you, you stone. Is that a true one? Something like, on the lines of that? Like, if your wife, I'm not sure. I can't quote anything out of it. I'm just what people have told me, like, you know, it's kind of has more violent, you know, towards, you know, enemies. It's kind of violent towards.
Well, I will admit, there are violent verses in the Quran.
Right.
There are violent verses that says kill. There are violent verses, and it was going back to what you said is based on context. This is what I always say to somebody: if every violent verse, there are violent verses that say kill the Christian, kill this person and that person, but none of these verses that say kill say there are verses right before that say accept those who are peaceful or fight those who fight you. So the context will show self-defense. In other words, every verse that says kill, not one says kill an innocent person. So literally you can't take the verse and mean I can go kill everybody, because right after the verse that says kill, it says accept those who are peaceful, accept those who fought you. It says fight those who fight you, attack those who attack you. So all these verses saying killing is saying those who kill you, or those who try to kill you and try to attack you. But there's a verse
right,
that says So I agree with that. There are violent verses. These sort of the verses that people use and say, well, it says kill. But I said, but none of them say kill innocent people. It says kill those who try. Islam believes in self-defense. It's not passive like, for example, Christianity, where you turn the right cheek if somebody hits you.
Right.
We don't believe that. We believe if somebody fights you, you have every right to defend yourself.
But it also think about this.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. It also proves to me something else too. It proves to me the times, because if I were to write a book in the time, in the place that they were at, that's exactly what I would write. Because at that time, another faith coming in wasn't people with books and preachers. It was people with swords, as in I want to take over your land if you don't do this. So of course I would write something like that. That if somebody's coming, you better stand your ground, because our faith is this, and you better do that. So I look at it metaphorically. I look at it as in a person writing in the time. So I can't really say any part of the Quran is wrong, because I'm not a person that would interpret it as violence, as in actually do it. My problem is that there's people that actually do interpret it that way. Those are the people that religion needs to worry about. And that's why with Islam, my thing is, why can't you just reform? Why can't you just take parts that misconstrue something like that to somebody, or add a little thing to it? I mean, we're spiritual now, and we could see the world for what it is. I mean, we're morally.
Well, I always say my answer to that is that when people say, well, why don't we just take this part out or that part out?
Not take it out, but make it more clear. Make it more clear, because you talk about the love, but somebody might not see that love. They might just take it as, holy crap, this person's my enemy. He's coming at me. I got to destroy him. I mean, a lot of people can misconstrue that.
Right, but if I were to say to you that, like I just said to you, if I were to say to you, fight these people only if they fight you, you understand it as what?
I understand it as protect myself. If somebody comes in,
now,
protect myself.
If I said this to someone else and they took it as to go kill all innocent people that's around them, is that me being unclear or them purposely misreading the text?
It's not misreading, though. You have to, because not everybody is on our intelligence level. Let's say we're both intelligent. Not everybody is on that, because when they read it, it's like watching a movie. For me, watching a movie that has fantasy or whatever, hits home, because it's kind of in my beliefs. I believe kind of fantasy and blah, blah, blah. So it hits home. It hits me. Some people might watch a horror movie, and that's going to pique their, that person is totally different than me. So if they're following a religion where they see this in it, their darker desires could become reality, because they're going to see, wow, they kind of wrote this way, so I could do it. So not everybody not everybody will interpret it the way I look at it.
Right.
Because I could be like, right now I could be like, somebody's coming in, I'm at school, let's say high school or something, and somebody's coming at me and being mean. Whatever, he's not attacking me. In my head, I think he's just immature, blah, 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 and I walk away. Somebody might think, oh, my God, this guy's emotionally trying to take me down. He's trying to bring my self-worth down. I'm never going to get a girl because of this guy. This guy's trying to destroy me, so I have to destroy them. You see that mentality? So for that person's mentality,
but I would say is if you understand something, like I said, if I said something to you and you understood it as self-defense, and I said the exact same words to someone else, and they don't take it as self-defense.
They take it how they view the world.
Right. They take it how they view the world. To your understanding, I will be clear to you, but to them, I will be unclear to them. So
but my question, being clear to me, that's my thing. If for me to interpret one way is just because I am one type of, let's call me a spiritual being. I'm one type of spiritual being that goes towards the good side, but there are ones that go more towards the darker side, or they don't have the right restrictions to keep them away from that side. And I believe it's society pushing them to that level, which I have a whole theory on that. But but still, you know, if something's
Well,
there and
I would say that the texts are clear. When you read the text, people who are misinterpreted, or as you say, they're getting a different understanding than what you're getting understanding, it's purposely doing it. And the reason why I say this is because throughout this conversation, we've understood each other completely. Right. Right. And if you were to talk to somebody else, you understand each other completely. Now, if I take them same words that we're using and I add them in the text, how does it all of a sudden become unclear? That means somebody is purposely doing it, because I just said something to you, and it was perfectly clear. I could say the same to anybody else, and it's clear. To say that it's people's different interpretation literally means that we can't communicate. There's literally no way to communicate. Right. There has to be an objective way to communicate. Right. So if you have to say that one person takes it one way, one person takes another, then there's literally impossible.
Can I stop you on that one point, though? You gave me a thought. You said there needs to be an objective way to view it, right?
Right.
And that is ultimately what I'm trying to promote, except the way I promote it is without labeling and without names. Nobody has to call. I mean, it's an ego thing. You don't have to call yourself Christian to be spiritual. When I talk to Christian,
I agree you don't have to call yourself a name. But what I was getting to is that in order for there to be an objective consensus of things, there has to be an objective language. Because, in other words, there has to be a language that we all understand. Because if
which is English at this point.
I wouldn't say. But that's what I was saying.
English is a great language, man. I mean, who else has frivolous and superseding and all these great words?
But I'm talking about literal language, like the language we're speaking right now. Like you understand
plain English, just plain English.
This is what I'm saying. So therefore, English has to be objective. You're talking in Spanish. Your Spanish language has to be objective. So if language is objective, the reason why we understand each other is because language is objective. If it wasn't objective, there's no possible way you could understand me, or I could understand you. So language is objective. Therefore, if language is objective, and you just understood a verse to mean self-defense, and someone else took it not to mean self-defense, then that's not their interpretation, because language is objective. That is them personally following their own subjective view. If language is, now, if you're saying language is not subjective, then neither one of us is right. But if language is objective, then they are purposely taking it their own way. So going back to what I was trying to say is that if you've never read the Quran, it has no error. It doesn't mean it comes from God. So therefore, it behoves a person to actually now prove, well, how you know it didn't come from man? How do we know it came from actual God? And if you actually test, it is humanly impossible to inspire people to conquer a nation by using man-made speech that goes against what the people believe in. I'm going to say it again.
Isn't that kind of what Hitler did?
I'm glad you said that, because you're saying everything I used to say. Isn't that what Hitler did? Hitler conquered people. Constantine conquered people. He did all these things. What makes Muhammad so special? Well, this is what I said to myself. The difference is this is what people say, but you can actually go and test this out. If you yourself, I always challenge somebody. I challenge you. Because if I challenge you right here, right now, I'll give you money. I'll wire it to you. All you got to do is walk anywhere. Go to your street. Go in your block, the street that you live on, and tell
it's
people.
It's near impossible. I get it. But,
tell people you're a prophet. And tell people,
what if I lived? Because I'll be humbly saying I live in a suburbia, nice area. But what if I lived in a area that is prone to gang violence? I may be able to. I mean, if I have the power of a silver tongue, which sometimes I like to credit myself at, but so if I had that power, there are humans that are very emotional, and they could touch other people's emotions just through words. And if they live in a situation...
But the difference between Muhammad and everybody else is, my specific came was, he used speech that went against what people believe. See, if you're going to inspire somebody, you're going to inspire me with something that I believe in. But the Prophet Muhammad is going to Christians saying, by the way, Christians are going to hell. Oh, yeah, and by the way, that 3 in 1, it's not really 3 in 1.
But I'm sure he didn't.
And Jesus didn't die. And he's not crucified. Oh, yeah, and Jews, you're doing this wrong. Everything he's saying is actually going against the grain.
Right, but
so how did he
may have
inspire
been
people to follow him when everything he says is going against them? And this is what people say,
he may have
well,
been good.
And the same thing, he may have been good. But the difference is, you're saying he may have been good, but when you actually test it, no one can do it.
But you can't test it in this time, though. We have evolved morally. We have evolved past how those humans were then.
Okay,
you can't do it now.
Again,
I mean, you can, just like I said, in some
if you test it in this time and it's shown to be impossible, then you turn around and say, well, it could have happened back then. What are you basing it on when you did it is impossible? This is the logic that I was going through. You're saying, well, it could have happened. Well, if I say
it's possible. I say it's possible, and I wouldn't use this as supernatural, proof. Yes, it might be extraordinary. Yes, it might be amazing that somebody could do that. But in a time of war, people, in a time of desperation, I'm learning, paralegal. And one of the main things in law is do not go talk to people. You can't ambulance chase. You can't go to places where people are hurt and be like, hey, I want to be your lawyer. Because when you are in that kind of mindset and you're in terror, you're in fear, and you're desperate, brainwashing is not too hard. And
right.
and I would think it's kind of the same way. Then it wasn't like now. They weren't in luxurious, houses, or even if I'm the poorest person in this world, I have a better housing than they did back then. I have food at 12 o'clock, 1 p.m. Yeah, we have these, and that's why it's almost. And I'm saying, if you find somebody in that desperation that doesn't have anything like that, I bet you I could change his view in 2 seconds. I'll be right, but take your bet on that.
And this is why I always say I accept Islam, because you're saying that I bet I could, it's possible. At the same time, if you go do
I'm saying it humbly. I'm not sure if I can, but I mean, I could be a little more cocky and say 100% I can. But you
could. And this is the argument that I always say. People can say it, but that's the thing, is they're only saying it. When you actually go and do it, no one can do it. Right here, right now, if I paid you and you went around and you said and you had the reputation of a good man, but all you gotta do,
it wouldn't be easy. Out. That's my answer is it wouldn't be easy, but I am sure I could do it to somebody.
Exactly. And to me, this is the reason why I accept Islam, because everyone says I can do it. I never did it, but I'm sure I can. But if I said to you, well, I can't fly, but I'm sure I can. I'm sure I can fly to you. I'm sure you would not accept it. In other words, when I can use the same argument against you, then it's not really a good argument. These are the logics that I use to say, well, this is more supportive evidence that Prophet Muhammad, his conquest was a miracle, because what he did cannot be done. Every time I challenge somebody, why don't you do this? I'll pay you. Because I'm the type of person, if I'm wrong.
But do you see where I'm coming from? You can't do it now. Like, it's not a society.
I can't quite see where you're coming from, because if it's impossible now, and you're saying, but you could do it back then, what are you basing it on? This is my reason why I accepted the Prophet answer, because anytime you challenge somebody, everyone will admit I can't do it, never saw it done, no one's ever come close to doing it. If you actually put it to the test, you can't come close to it. So that alone cannot say, it's not a logical base to say, well, it can be done. It would be the equivalent of me saying, you never saw nobody fly Superman, but I can fly Superman. Sure I can. Sure I can take bullets like you, man. Maybe it didn't happen now, but I could. I mean,
come on, that's a red herring. We can't do that.
But it wouldn't be a red herring. But I'm the same thing you said to me is the same thing I said to you. So how can it now turn around and be a red herring? I'm saying the same thing. So again, going off of this is what led me to believe that the miracle, Prophet Muhammad's conquest was a miracle. So this made me believe that Muhammad was a prophet.
The first initial immortal intelligence. First, it wasn't intelligent. The first immortal, let's say, because at first it's not. I don't think all of a sudden it was intelligent. I think it took billions of, just like how we evolved.
Right. And this is,
you could use a similar analogy.
That intelligence came from unintelligence.
Yes.
This is what you. But again, this would go back sort of like this. This would go back to like I said with the Prophet Muhammad, where that that's a claim. But when you apply it, it leads to inconsistency. If you
I
say
use a funny analogy. I say darkness figured out all of its colors. After a while, darkness figured out, oh my God, I have all these colors in me. These are all the colors put together to make black, or, darkness, or black, whatever you call it. So, I mean, eventually it figured out its colors, eventually it figured out forms, eventually it figured out worlds, eventually it became intelligent. That's kind of how I look at it.
But if darkness is doing this, and you're saying if darkness is saying it's too many, what is it, darkness in your analogy, darkness has too many colors, that's darkness using its intelligence. That's not unintelligence coming from intelligence. That's still intelligence is always there. This
exactly,
is what I'm saying.
And exactly words, the sentence you said, unintelligence came from intelligence.
Right. Intelligence has to exist before intelligence. In other words, we can't come from unintelligence. Intelligence always has to be there first. And intelligence
that's not necessarily true.
Well,
I mean, as I come up as a kid, I'm unintelligent until I learn of the world around me. Then I learn the laws, I learn everything. Then I become more intelligent. So
right,
to your point, it was never unintelligent.
That's assuming that an intelligent being didn't create you to be that way. So again, this is another example that I would use with atheists, and that is, I would use this in the forum. I don't know if you've seen me use it sometimes, but I would say the proof that intelligence existed first before unintelligent is due to the simple fact that a repeating pattern, a pattern that repeats itself, can only come about through choice.
Mm-hmm.
A repeating pattern. For example, if I told you to create a checkerboard, there's no way you can make that checkerboard unless you make a decision in your mind to draw the checkerboard pattern.
Right, I know of the checkerboard before.
Right. So
I've heard that.
A repeating pattern can only come about through choice. And if there's a choice, in order to have choice means intelligence. Because you have to have intelligence to even make a choice.
I think this was one of Plato's arguments. That's funny, because I think it was. It was one of Plato's.
So this is my contention. So if a repeating pattern can only come about through intelligence, then that alone, then the repeating patterns that exist, the fact that there are repeating patterns in this universe today, even as we speak, means that intelligence came first. Now, to refute that, you have to show me an example where a repeating pattern right now exists, came about where there was no intelligence. And this is what atheists say. What about snowflakes? What about crystals? No one chose to do those things. And they would say, what about snowflakes? What about crystals? What about the water cycle?
But then you could have the argument that outside of reality that they already existed.
Well, the argument I was going to say is that, well, how do you know that unintelligence wasn't there? How do you know intelligence was there? Well, I didn't see nobody. I didn't see it. It's dark. Well, that's the only way you would say. I didn't see nobody choose to do it. You can't say proof of non-choice is not seeing choice. Because there are a lot of things that we don't see, and yet we still exist. If you left out your house and your bed was unmade and came back and it was made, you would never say it evolved. You would say somebody was in my room and someone cleaned up my room.
Right.
So how can you now turn around? You didn't see nobody do it. Because you have to understand, well, someone has to make choice to do these things.
I'm having such deja vu, by the way. I don't know how it feels like
What'd you say?
I'm having a deja vu. It feels like I've had this conversation. But anyways.
Maybe.
It's always interesting. Deja vus, I always bring them up when I have them because I think they're very interesting phenomenon.
But this is the reason why I would say intelligence came first. You can't have an unintelligent being first and then intelligent.
But look at my view is saying it is intelligent, though. I'm not saying that it was unintelligent. I'm saying it was intelligent, just like.
That's what I was saying. I was saying there are things that can be unintelligent, but an intelligent thing had to make it unintelligent.
But yeah, just like when I'm a 4-year-old kid, you can't say I'm unintelligent, but you could also say I'm unintelligent because I'm a 4-year-old kid.
And that's why I was saying that, because going back to your example, how you were unintelligent and you evolved, and now you're intelligent, it's because an intelligent being.
I think this intelligence evolved. It was, but how is that premise wrong? Because it was always intelligent in my view, and it just evolved to the intelligence
but I'm saying I believe the same thing, that I was born with somewhat intelligent, I evolved into someone who being intelligent. But I'm saying the reason why I was able to do that because an intelligent being created me to be that.
Right.
So I believe in evolution and those type of things, but it was an intelligent being that said, I'm going to create a being that is capable of doing it. In other words, it wasn't just unintelligent. and then all of a sudden it became intelligent. It was an intelligent being.
Well, I mean, you could look at a baby fetus like that. I mean, a baby fetus for sure is unintelligent. Its eyes aren't open, its brain's not working, it's just a baby fetus. It's unintelligent.
Right.
That little baby
fetus
becomes an intelligent being.
Right, exactly. But because unintelligent can't precede intelligence, that would be that because an intelligent being, God created that unintelligent being to have the ability to do that. In other words, I agree with what you're saying. The only difference is that intelligence is always right there before it. So
and that's what I hear. That's what I hear from most. You know, I can't even say the words. The omnipotent and blah blah blah.
Right.
That it always was. I think that's kind of a misconception. I think to us, yes, before we've gotten to this point, I think it's been billions of years of evolving intelligently. So yes, it is all powerful in whatever this source is.
Right. It's an all powerful thing.
My premise is it got to that point. It wasn't just poof, this kind of intelligence.
Right. And I agree 100%. I agree 100%.
I could sit here and fantasize about millions of types of afterlives I'd like to live, but then I'd get lost in delusion. And a lot of spiritual people will have a tendency to get lost in delusion because it's like you're thinking about something. Then this is something you learn from life, that when you live in the present, you're the most happy. If your thoughts are always in the past, you get anxiety, depression, why didn't I do this? And if your thoughts are always in the future, you're never going to be getting anything done. So living in the moment, that's what we are. We're spiritual beings that move forward. We're not spiritual beings that are supposed to go to the past and live there or whatever. We're spiritual beings that move forward. So whatever we are, we live in the present. So my conclusion is that the present is where our spiritual being wants to be right now, like it or not. I mean, just like I said, I could throw away everything right now and be like, oh man, I got unemployed from my last job. Screw this life. I hate it. I had to move back to my parents' house because of this, so I could save money. I could look at life negatively too. But what I would be doing is I would be looking into future negatively, and I would be looking at my past negatively. So basically, It has nothing to do with my present, because in my present, I'm alive and I'm in a beautiful world if I look at it like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that is my spiritual philosophy. If you know, and I'm sure if I sit down and read the entire Quran, that I will agree with a lot of it.